At 25, $200 a week feels like nothing. A few nights out, a couple of deliveries, some subscriptions you forgot about. But invested instead, that same $200 becomes $2.7 million by the time you retire. That isn't a typo, and it isn't a get-rich-quick pitch. It's just what happens when you give ordinary money an extraordinary amount of time. So let's walk through your life if you start in your 20s. Here's the part nobody tells you at 25. Your biggest financial asset right now isn't your salary. It's the 40 years sitting in front of you, and every single one of them is worth more than the last. Because compounding doesn't reward the person who invests the most. It rewards the person who invests the earliest. And in your 20s, you are as early as you will ever be. So, let's start where most people actually are. Broke or close to it. Because building wealth in your 20s does not start with investing. It starts with not going backwards. Step 1 is the boring one. A small emergency fund. $2,000 to $3,000 in a high-interest savings account so a broken phone or a car repair doesn't turn into a credit card you spend 2 years paying off. That buffer is what stops every unexpected bill from undoing your progress. It isn't exciting, and it will never make you rich, but it's the floor everything else gets built on. Step 2, kill any high-interest debt. Credit cards and personal loans charging you 18 or 20% will always outrun what your investments earn. There is no strategy that beats paying that off first. Once that's gone, your income finally belongs to you. And this is the exact moment most people upgrade their lifestyle instead of their future. That single decision is worth millions. Now the fun part. Step 3. Start investing and start small. You do not need $1,000 a month. You need consistency and a very long runway. $50 a week, invested from 25, becomes about $670,000 by 65. $50. One takeaway meal and a couple of coffees. $100 a week becomes about $1.3 million. And $200 a week becomes that $2.7 million we opened with. Same person, same 40 years, just a different weekly habit. And here's the number that should genuinely stop you. Over those 40 years, at $200 a week, you only personally contribute $416,000. The other $2.3 million is compounding. You do less than a fifth of the work. Time does the rest. That is the entire secret, and it is available to absolutely everyone with a long enough horizon. Step 4, and this is the most Australian one. Your super is already doing this quietly in the background. 12% of your income goes in automatically, whether you think about it or not. On a $75,000 salary, that's $9,000 a year invested for you. Left alone from 25 to 65, that alone grows to more than $2 million. Most people in their 20s treat super as invisible money for old people. But it's the single biggest wealth engine you already own, and it's running right now, whether you pay attention or not. So do two things with it. Consolidate multiple accounts into one, because duplicate fees quietly eat your balance. And check the investment option, because at your age, a growth setting has decades to recover from any dip. Step 5, keep your lifestyle behind your income. Every raise you get, send a slice of it straight to investing before you ever see it in your account. This is the single habit that separates people who look wealthy from people who actually are. One upgrades the car, the other upgrades the portfolio. Now let's jump forward. You're in your 30s, and this is where it starts feeling real for the first time. 10 years of $200 a week has grown to about $150,000. Not life-changing yet, but it's real, and it's yours, and it's compounding on itself now. This is also the decade where the trap shows up. Mortgage, maybe kids, and a very reasonable sounding argument for pausing your investing. Don't pause it. Reduce it if you must, but never stop it. Because stopping for 5 years in your 30s doesn't cost you 5 years of contributions. It costs you those contributions plus 30 years of growth on top of them. Now your 40s. 2 decades of consistency, and the balance has passed $500,000. This is when compounding stops feeling theoretical and starts doing visible work. Something strange happens around here. The growth in a single year starts to exceed everything you put in that year. Your money begins out-earning your effort. You don't feel rich. You still work, still budget, still check prices at the shops. But underneath your ordinary life, something significant is quietly building. Your 50s, 3 decades in, and the balance is well past 1.2 million. And here's the thing, you never once earned a spectacular income. You just never stopped. This is also the decade where the maths gets loud. At 8%, 1.2 million grows by roughly $100,000 a year on its own. That's a full-time salary you don't work for. And then your 60s, where the whole thing pays off. 40 years of $200 a week, and you're sitting on roughly $2.7 million. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that's about $108,000 a year without ever touching the principal. Your money now pays you more than your job ever did. Now let me show you the cost of waiting, because this is the most important part of the entire video. Same $200 a week, same 8%. But you start at 35 instead of 25. You end with about 1.18 million instead of 2.7. 10 years of delay costs you $1.5 million, not the 26,000 you would have contributed. 1.5 million because you didn't just lose the money, you lost its growth. That is why your 20s matter more than any other decade. Not because you have money then, but because you have time. And time is the ingredient you can never buy back. So if you're in your 20s right now, here is your entire plan. Build a small buffer, clear expensive debt, invest a fixed amount every single week, sort your super out once, and let your lifestyle grow slower than your income. That's it. There's no clever trick, no secret stock, no leverage play. Just 5 boring decisions repeated for decades while everyone else waits for the perfect moment. And if you're past your 20s watching this, the lesson isn't that you missed it. It's that the second best time is right now, and every year you wait makes the same point again, more expensively. The person with 2.7 million at 65 and the person with nothing usually earned about the same. One just started 10 years earlier and never stopped. This is general information only, not financial advice. Do your own research and speak to a licensed professional about your situation. If this made the maths click, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.